so many palettes in my collection. I just need to get a system done where I have them in constant rotation because I keep them for a reason. I'm not one to get a palette, to buy a palette or get it as PR and then use it once for review and throw it away. Well, I don't do this usually. If the palette is true shit, I do this, but usually I even then give it a second chance. Aside the Dexter palette, No, I did. Okay, forget what I said. What I want to say is these palette roulette videos, they just help me to do that, to get that system, to just force myself to rotate through my collection. And they are just great videos to film when there is no palette that I am currently reviewing, because you can't review every single palette. I don't want to review every single palette, so I'm happy to dig into my collection overall, and I know you are too, although this is one of the videos that actually perform the worst on my channel, but it doesn't matter because I just adore these. If you haven't seen a palette roulette, because we already have 2 parts up, basically what I do, you get 3 looks in a video, and before each look I spin a wheel of fortune with you. You get a screen share here and you see the spin wheel, what? You see the wheel spin, you see the wheel spinning, and then it just chooses what palette I'm going to use. I will create a look with this palette, and this time, to bring in a little bit more structure, at the end of each look, I give you my rating that I have, because in case you don't know, I do rank every single palette that I own with a rating system where I rate it in the categories of color story, quality, and personal excitement on a scale from 0 to 10, and then I have an average score. And I just think it is helpful to just include a mini review in these videos. I hope you do like that. So this is the first look of the video. I don't know what other palettes you will see, but I can already give you the spoiler that this is done with the Cyberpunk palette from Huda Beauty. Haven't digged into this in a while. Before we start, one little info: if there is anything like an affiliate code, affiliate link, or is a PR palette, I will let you know in the look. In general, all the links, all the codes are always in the info box underneath the videos. I try to remember everything. I also try to link specific videos if the video has one, if the palette has one. I'm sorry, it's early in the morning. I also try, if they already exist, to include swatches. I do want to tackle this topic really quick before you can watch the looks. I get the question, especially for these videos, that I should include swatches of each palette. I do want to remind you that I'm not doing this full time. My time to film and to produce video content, including swatches, photo, is very, very limited because I do have a full-time job. I do still go to university and do my bachelor's degree, although I'm currently writing on my thesis, but after that I will start my master's degree, my master's degree, so my time is a little bit limited. I am in the process of building a swatch library. So I started to document every single palette that I have swatches, and when there is free time, I try to add and just complete that library of swatches. I also have still swatches in that folder on my Mac of palettes that I don't even have anymore, so that I just have stuff to compare. But I'm honest with you, with these palettes, with these videos here that I film throughout the week before I start to work. So basically you see me getting ready for work. I don't have the time to do swatches beforehand. So I'm very, very sorry if these are not included, but honestly, for a lot of these palettes, especially this one, this is an older one, you will find great swatches online. I just can encourage you to check out other beautiful creators who have a little bit more time and who can provide you with beautiful swatches. As said, if I have swatches of the palette, I will include them before the looks. But now, let's head into the sad looks. Let's quickly spin the wheel because we have so many palettes to do here. And today, Huda Beauty Cyberpunk. Oh boy, I haven't touched that one in a long time. Although this is a lie, I did a look not too long ago with the Cyberpunk palette. I think when I did my Seahorse review for Adept Cosmetics. But you know, for transparency reason, I am affiliated with Game Beauty, so I have a code with them. I think it's ELLAKINKLEY and it saves you 10% on most of the stuff. And this Cyberpunk palette was actually sent as PR, so here it is. It is definitely a bit out of my regular comfort zone, but it has some truly stunning shades. So I think my two favorites are actually Systopia and 32.2. These are really, really nice. And you know what? Let's create a cool look with this. I'm pretty sure I can. I start with the wrong brush. No, I start with Replicant and I apply this in the crease and a little bit above. I now go into Neon City and that one I apply on my inner crease, bringing it to the center. I wipe the brush off and I now go into Cyborg. And that one I start to apply in the middle crease part and I try to focus it there, blending it into Neon City and just a little bit outwards. And now I pick up Necromancy, that purple here. And I apply this on the other crease and bring it also down to the lashes in a V shape. So glitter glue is down and I actually tap first into Systopia. And I apply this on the outer third. And then I pick up 3022 and start to apply this on the inner lid part. And yeah, I'm basically bringing it towards Systopia. And then I just mix them together by just flipping the brush constantly. So that basically one shade goes into the other. For liner, I will be using ColourPop's Calabasas. It's actually one of my favorites. And line the waterline with that. This liner is so 90s, early 2000s. I'm digging it. I now pick up Necromancy again and smudge this on the lower lash line. And I wiped off the brush here a little bit and I now tap into Cyborg 2. And I blend this starting on the inner part and then just bringing it a little bit downwards. Just want to add this. I don't know what I want to add, but I wanted to add it. For inner corner highlight, I take Multipass, which is this bright yellow, and apply this, well, you guessed it, on the inner corner. And here we have the finished look with Cyberpunk. For lips, I went with the Sephora Lip Stain Liner in the shade Daydreamin', blended it in a little bit, and then I topped it off with the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb in Major Flex. The Cyberpunk palette does something that not a lot of palettes do because it is in and outside of my comfort zone at the same time. This is, honestly, this is the major flex, not the gloss. The gloss is fine, but that's not what I'm talking about. This is a big flex, to be honest, because while I enjoy the palette every time that I use it, I mean, look at this eye look. This is stunning and gorgeous. It is bright and smoky at the same time. But it is also a little bit out of my comfort zone with the inner corner highlight and just with the more bright neons. But at the same time, whenever I start to do a look, I am super inspired and happy. But when I look just at the palette, I'm like, I don't want to use this. So I was a little bit torn today before we headed into the palette, and I also, I want to bring in more consistency. The rating for the palette. So the quality, I gave this palette a 7. I do think that the Game Beauty palettes, they are decent, they are fine, but the quality is not overwhelmingly good. Plus, all of the shimmers in this one, but also in the other Game Beauty stuff that I tried, they are more subtle. It's not my type of shimmer quality because it is quite powdery. So as for color story, I gave this palette actually an 8 out of 10 because, and that's very important to notice, it's Game Beauty. Their stuff is inspired by games. So this is the Cyberpunk palette, which is of course inspired by the Cyberpunk game. And with that in consideration, I do think they really nailed the color story. I am missing a little bit because it's not Neon City in Cyberpunk, it's Night City, and the whole vibe of Cyberpunk is much darker than this, but I get that they were coming for all the neons in that game. So yes, I do think that color story wise they really nailed it because of the theming, but I'm missing a little bit of things, and that is why my personal excitement is actually at a 9, which makes this palette in my collection overall ranking at an 8 out of 10. And honestly, now that I used it, I really want to play Cyberpunk again, but I'm just in the middle of Death Stranding 2. So no, not yet, but maybe after that, because I need to fill the gap now between finalizing Death Stranding 2 and the release of Ghost of Yotei. But that's a whole different topic here. So moving on to now the next palette. And for the second look of the video, the palette wheel is choosing Huda Beauty Pretty Grunge. I will not lie to you, I think I touched this, if not for a supporting shade, the last time when I reviewed it, which is actually a shame. I am though surprised that this weird creamy ass shade here has not molded down yet, which is good, but honestly, I'm excited. I'm really excited. I'm starting with Law of Anarchy, and I apply this above the crease for transition. I then pick up Fearless. I mean, you guessed it that I will stay probably in the more cool toned part of the palette. And Fearless goes directly into the crease. I don't know what's happening, but this is going on so patchy. I don't remember it being that patchy. It could be now either me. I don't think it's the age of the palette. It shouldn't be the age of the palette because I have palettes that are way older than this in my collection and they perform still amazing. I now go into Nirvana and I blend this on the outer V and outer crease. But you know what? I'm also taking this in. I want to have a very, very deep blended crease. Plus, I try to kind of cover that little bit of patchiness that Fearless. I now take the shade that I had actually Fearless on and I pick up Renegade and I place that on the outer lid part. And then whatever is left here on the brush, I just wiggle it out. Doesn't have to be super precise. I just want to have this blackened outer part of the lid and crease. Okay, this must be me because on this eye, the patchiness is less, while on this eye, I have like a line here of no shadow sticking to the skin. It's weird. It's very weird. And at first I go into, Haphazard. And that one I apply on the outer half here. I'm tapping this on and tapping it out towards the center like that. I actually ended up applying this on 2/3 of my lid, but it's fine. And now I want to use Rebel, but I'm not sure. Should I use a silicone brush? Because this is super, like, this is the definition of a flaky shade, but I try first with that brush here. So I picked up some and now I just apply this on the inner lid part, wiggling. And then I just smooth it on top of that other shade. This look definitely needs some liner and I will be using actually a not so heavy one. I'm gonna use Natasha Denona's taupe, which I, of course, as always, I have to sharpen the liner. By the way, this taupe liner now came out in a full size and I highly encourage you to get this. I think this is one of the coolest universal eyeliner colors that I have, and it does happen that I am affiliated with Natasha Denona, so link and shit is down below. But if you want to get this 10%, 10% with the code ELLAKINKLEY. But at first, let me use this to line my waterline. Next up, I go into Nirvana and smudge this here on the lower lash line all the way to the inner part. And then I take Beauty Chaos and smudge this slightly below to smoke it out. For the inner corner, I pick up Maverick and tap it on. And here we have now the final look. I paired the look with the Lee Member, I think they're called the Crystal Glosses in the shade Crystal Purple. It's a stunning pinky cool toned lip product. I do like the look. I will not lie to you. I think this is very pretty. I did a great cool toned look, but can I do this with a lot of other palettes that I have, even in better quality? Shit, yes. I also went again to my Excel spreadsheet and just looked up what I ranked this back then, and I gave this in quality a 7.5, and I know why, because the mattes, they are good. They are decent, they're nice, but they're not breathtaking. I don't know about you, but since I fully submerged into Sea Beauty, I just got a whole different perspective on what formulas can do, and I know it is unfair, but I always tend to compare, especially matte eyeshadows, to the quality of Narimi. And this is the problem, because Narimi's matte formula is the best on the market, to be honest. In Sea Beauty world, in whole Asian beauty world, and in Western beauty, there is no other matte formula that is better than this. And then shortly after that come brands like Cheeryep, Shall We Makeup, amazing quality. Anthony it has gotten so much better. Florasis, like, come on, Flower Nose, all these brands are just better in quality, in my opinion, than this. So this is a good mid-range quality, but I also have to admit that I just got to know better things now. And the other thing is, the shimmers here are very inconsistent. So shades like Maverick, Stand Up, Haphazard, Avant-Garde, they are, and Strong AF, I'm sorry, I forgot that. They are great, but one of the most beautiful shades in the palette, I mean, look at the eye, Rebel is just, or Rebel, this is just not cool. The flakiness is just too flaky. For some reason, this palette never really wowed me that much. I mean, I gave this in Color Story an 8 because 8 is a good rating. It's a fairly nice color story. I like these split down in the middle warmer and cool tone sides, and the fact that you can very easy mix them. And my personal excitement also is at an 8, but to be honest, now that I used this again, I want to lower my rating a bit, because overall this is at a 7.8. But for some reason, I feel like I should downgrade the quality in my ranking at least to a 7, if not even to a 6, because of the patchiness. And my personal excitement is not as high as it used to be. So I learned things here today, and this palette will get a special place now on a newly formed maybe pile, because I don't want to let go of this yet, because I do like the theming, I do like the thought behind this, but I think I need to give this just a few more shots, maybe 1 or 2 more looks, and then I want to decide what I'm going to do with this. Because let's be honest, this is an 18 pan palette, but I will use maximum 17 shades because the cream shade here is garbage. This is a never setting balm, so I don't know why Huda put this in there. If this was anywhere near the cream shades that we had in the 9 pan palette, the Creamy Obsession, that would have been better. But now, moving on to the next look. And we're already at the last spin, so I'm very, very excited what we're going to get. Ooh, the Dragon Ascension palette. Oh, that's going to be fun. In case you don't know what that is and you found me way after these videos, it's this guy here. This was the limited edition Chinese New Year's palette from 2024 from the brand Cheeryep. And this palette, I'ma tell you, this is the one that started it all. This is the one that made me dip into sea beauty, that made me kind of known and I would say a little bit popular in sea beauty, because I'm not a sea beauty content creator. I'm a Western world content creator. Specifically, I'm in Europe, in Germany. And I feel like because I started to review this, I was able to bring sea beauty to my little world here, to my small audience that I have. And I am always so happy for y'all when I get these comments. You were the one that introduced me to sea beauty. You were the one that was showing me all these a little bit more unknown brands. Although I do think that brands like Cheeryep or Girl Code, they just gained so much popularity in the past year that makes me very, very proud of them. And today we're going to use the Dragon Ascension palette. Oh, I'm so excited. And what do I want to do? Because let's be honest, the matte selection here is very, very small. But I can definitely do things with this. I do have a little bit of an idea what I want to do. So I start with the very first shade here. That is a corally matte. And I just dipped slightly into it because I want to use this above the crease as my transition color. I was honestly hoping that Cheeryep this year came out with something similar for the Year of the Snake, but instead they did a collab of cream eyeshadows together with Freya 86. I didn't get this because cream eyeshadows is just, it's not my vibe. Especially not a palette full of these, although some of these looked so nice, but it was also mainly green, and yeah, that is just not my thing. I now go into that dark shade here. It is not brown, it is more a super dark blackened aubergine shade, I would call this. And I tap this here on the outer part, and then I just start to wiggle it out. The mattes here in the Dragon Ascension are not comparable to the regular Cheeryep formula, because these here are really patchy at some point. They require a lot of work, in my opinion. They do not wow me, and to be fair, I don't think that this palette at all is judged by the mattes. This palette is judged by the selection of shimmers that you get, and if you tried this and you were let down by the mattes, just try their regular palettes. Cheeryep is the only brand even where I have a backup of a palette, the Floating Life with Freya 86 also. It's the only palette that I ever bought a backup of because I'm afraid that I will run out of a shade or two or three. I don't know, because it's my favorite eyeshadow palette. And if you want to try them, shameless plug here, you can get them, of course, on Look Healthy store and save 12% with my code ELLAGRAM. Or you can buy them also on Sea Beauty Mall. There I also have a code. It's ELLAGRAM_makeup, but that saves you only 5%. So at the end, shop where it's best suited for you. Sea Beauty Mall every now and then has also extra like sale options on Cheeryep. So it's just check out what shop suits you the very best, and then you can decide where you want to purchase the beautiful Cheeryep stuff. I am actually, when I'm filming this video, waiting for a new palette launch from them because there wasn't one in a while. I just checked. The last release was in February. It was the Lime Cheese eyeshadow palette number 14. It was a color story that's really not for me. Then they had the Snake collection and then the Phantom Glaze one, which is this here. This is just a bunch of singles and highlighters in their single eyeshadow system. So actually, like, a real palette I'm missing, so I hope we get one soon. Not that I need new eyeshadow palettes, but that's on a complete different page here. So matte is done. I like that. I really like the way this looks. And since a lot of these shades here are fairly squishy, I will use some silicone brushes this time. And the thing is, I now gave myself a little bit of a frame here with the coral. So I do have an idea. The problem is I don't have that much space on the eye, so I cannot possibly use every single shade in here, although I want to. I really want to. But what I want to do is I start down here with the very, very last shade, which is actually not as squishy as some others, so I can take a regular brush. And that shade goes on the outer bit of my lid. I'm just tapping this on and then I'm tapping it out towards the center. Maybe I don't need the silicone brush because I now want to go into this here. This is a little bit rosy, a little bit golden, a little bit rusty actually, and it's not as squishy as others. And this goes here in the inner part of the lid. And then where they both meet, I just keep on tapping this over, tapping it out. So some gets mixed in, some gets applied on top. A little bit messy, which is absolutely what I'm desiring. I now take the brush that I had the darker shade on and I just start to blend the crease out with no additional product, and that way I started to break up any harsh lines and spread tiny glitters above the crease, and I really like the look. I think a lot of liners could match here. I go something neutral with Smog from Urban Decay and line the waterline with that, and then I pick up some of that dark can you even tell? Some of that dark aubergine shade here and smudge this on the outer part, or like the inner third, I would say, or 3/4. Just leave a little bit bare on the inner lower lash, because I want to add a little bit more color actually. So I pick up the orange here, start to smudge this on the inner lower lash part and smudge it outwards. There are so many great shades in here that work as inner corner highlight. We have the classic translucent ones. We have this one that is actually my least favorite shades because of the formula, because it is super squishy. Like, we're talking Odin's Eye single squishy. This one here that has the bluey shift. Then we have this one here that has confetti-like rainbow shifts, and also all of these cool tone purples. I really cannot decide what I'm going to use, but honestly, I think I stick with the confetti one here. This is just so pretty. It is a little bit flaky and squishy, but still manageable. And I apply this on the inner corner. Oh. I hope you can see what I see here, because it is just sparkling in all these different colors. And here you have the finished look. I actually did something a little bit different today on the lips, and I don't know if I'm digging this. I do, but maybe not with the look, but now it is what it is. It's the MAC, the new glossy liners in the shade Whirlin, and then I topped it off with the Charlotte Tilbury Kissing Lipstick in Candy Chic. I do like Candy Chic because it is so nice and pink. And cool tone, that's the thing. It's a cooler pink. But I should have paired it with a black. But that's not what I want to talk about. I don't think it is a big surprise that this has quite a high score in my collection. In terms of quality, I ranked this back then at an 8.5, and the reason is quite obvious. The mattes are not the best, they are quite patchy, at least the darker ones, and the shimmers, some of them are very, very oily and squishy, and I do feel like some of them, they are just so close to leak, but they didn't. They just feel very, very squishy. But on the other hand, I feel like this is a very common formulation for C Beauty in some brands. So I'm just looking at Narimi. A lot, if not 90% of the Narimi shimmers are in this weird, flaky, squishy, moist formula that usually I can only wear in super thin layers, otherwise it will break up, or just, I don't know, like wiggled out, blended out, put on with a silicone brush because of that formula. The good thing is the worst shades in here that are like this are actually this rainbowy one. The gold next to it has this and that purple, and the other ones are either not as bad as this is, or they're just regular, beautiful formulated shimmers. In terms of color story, I gave this a 10 back then, as well as my personal excitement. So in total, this palette ranks at a 9.5 in my collection, which honestly, I don't question. I still think like that. And, oh my God, I just slapped my face with the palette. And while I do think that this palette, in terms of the mattes, is lacking stuff, this is not what this palette is meant to be, because color story is also, for me personally, including the theming of the palette, and this is the Dragon Ascension palette. This is a dragon inspired palette, and to be honest, the mattes in here are just a bonus. I think I would have been also very, very happy if this would have been a 32 pan only shimmer palette. I can happily live without the mattes and just use one companion palette. For example, the Cheeryep number 13, I think Winter Fog or Fog Garden is the name. It's full of dead people eyeshadows. I love this eyeshadow palette, and this would pair so, so well with these more bluey greens or with these purples here. And I should have done this. I'm just thinking about it. Okay, that's a look for another video. I am very, very happy with this, and I still believe that a 9.5 is a fair ranking for this. I am still excited. I look at this palette actually every day because of the way I store it, since it is so big. So I'm always reminded that this palette is the one that opened so many opportunities for me, that just opened a new makeup market for me, and that just gave, honestly, this whole channel here, my social media appearance. I wanted to say experience, but I meant appearance. It gave it just a big boost, honestly. And I will link you all the videos that I did with this palette. I think in total 3 or 2, no, I think it's 3 videos. We have a first impression, then I think we have 3 looks or something, and then a palette bingo. So there are a couple, but I will link them down below, including also a playlist. You know what? I will just link the playlist, because I think I have a Cheeryep playlist where all the reviews are in there, and I will link that one because this is in there too. So yeah, that was a very successful palette roulette. Nothing got decluttered. One is in the maybe pile that I still feel very confident about. And other than that, I saw some feedback on the last palette roulette that you gave me, that you were saying that this video is so inspiring to you. So honestly, spread the message, spread the joy, spread the palette roulette, and just share the video, like it, comment, you know, all the jazz around this, because these type of videos, I'm honest with you, they do not perform very well, but I love to make them. But I think I said that in the intro, but the intro that I filmed is in my timeline 3 days ago, so I don't remember what I said in the intro. Okay, enough of the ramble. Thank you very, very much for joining me today. Make sure to subscribe to them, miss out any of the other upcoming videos, and I see you very, very soon.